Well, there we are. Still no players being introduced. Things happening a little bit later than anticipated. It gives me time to welcome my co-commentator this afternoon, Joe Johnson, the former world champion. Joe, you must have played here a time or two in your career?
Yes, I have, and it's a great venue, especially for the Welsh boys who always seem to do well while they were playing here. It's one of the venues that the players like to come to.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, I'd now like to introduce you to your tables. And first of all, on table number 3, your referee is Colin Humphreys, and your players, twice a world-ranking quarter-finalist Jamie Burnett, and the former Irish Masters semi-finalist Robert Milkins.
Well, there's Richard Beard doing his job there as Master of Ceremonies. 3 tables in action this afternoon.
Table number 2, your referee is Terry Camilleri, and your players, the former Masters champion and twice Welsh Open finalist Alan McManus, and the European and UK champion, former Stephen Maguire.
Well, that's the match on table 2. We might actually get a little look in on that sometime during the afternoon, depending upon how things go between Matthew Stevens and Mark Selby.
Your referee here on table number 1, ladies and gentlemen, will you please show your appreciation for Michaela Tabb?
Well, I mentioned Michaela a little earlier on, who already knows that she will be, as I said, refereeing her very first final of a major tournament come Sunday. So, Richard Beer, the Master of Ceremonies, now just awaiting the moment when he is told he can introduce the 2 players on the main match table, Matthew Stevens and Mark Selby. And then we can get things underway here at the Newport Centre on the second day of this week's Welsh Open, culminating, of course, on Sunday with the best of 17 frame final for the first prize of some £35,000.
Thanks very much, Oliver. Well, ladies and gentlemen, first to a talented young Leicester Potter with a great future ahead of him. A former finalist of the Scottish Open, will you please welcome Mark Selby?
Yes, Mark Selby turned pro in 1999. He actually became a world champion at 8-ball pool in June of last year, would you believe?
And now to one of the very best in the modern game, twice a world finalist and former UK and Masters champion. Ladies and gentlemen, the Welsh Dragon, Matthew Stevens.
Matthew turned pro at the age of 16 back in 1994. Now a ripe old 29 years of age, Matthew, and anxious to do well against Mark Selby there in front of this crowd. It's never been farther than the semi-final in the Welsh Open. It would be nice to see him make a little bit further progress here, but we shall see. Matthew Stevens versus Mark Selby then, your match today that we're showing you this afternoon for a place in the next round of this Welsh Open. This, of course, the first match that we've seen in the second round. This is a second round match. Mark Selby having beaten
first frame. Matthew Stevens to break.
Having beaten Ian Preece. You saw it on the graphic that we showed you a little earlier. Having beaten Ian Preece, another Welshman, by 5 frames to 0. So I suppose it's up to Matthew Stevens, Joe, to gain some Welsh revenge for what Mark did to Ian yesterday.
Yes, this promises to be another great match. 2 young attacking players. Mark Selby, in my opinion, on the way up. Great attacking player. And interestingly, as you've just noticed there, Matthew Stevens broke the pack from the left-hand side, which leaves the white ball where it is now. And as you could see, that was a good break, forced an early mistake straight away from Mark Selby.
There's no way that Mark should have been hitting that red on the side cushion, though.
No, needed to catch it a lot thinner. But it was a good break, though, Mike. And that's probably his way of thinking, is that he's fed up of leaving balls breaking off at the right side of the table, leaving the red, which everybody seems to do nowadays. and didn't want to catch that red.
No, he's nicely on the next red until the black gets respotted. Unfortunate.
8. And difficult. There you see, needed to miss the red. There is a possibility of a plant there, just above the black spot. But he's got to get it because the white ball will be cannoning into the reds, not guaranteed to be on a colour.
Nine.
And I think he's just about on the pink. You can just see him catch this red as it's coming across the table, the white ball. It would have been nicely on the blue into the middle had it not kissed, but I think he'll take the pink.
Yes, it is a bit of a stretch, isn't it? And Matthew does not like using the rest.
Yes, and the balls are spread all over the place, Mike, so needs to get it.
Matthew Stevens, 9.
Yes, I think possibly the big stretch there was the reason why he missed that.
Yes, and also a bit early to be playing difficult shots where the ball's spread all over the table. Don't need the pressure shots on your second or third visit.
One.
Very watchable young player, Mark Selby. I remember we saw him beat Matthew when they last met last autumn in one of the group phase matches of the Roland Watches Grand Prix. He beat Matthew 3 frames to 0. Only the second time they'd met. Matthew won their first encounter, which was way back in 2003 in the Scottish Open. Matthew won 5-2. So 1-1 on the head-to-heads previously, but that 3-0 reversal for Matthew quite recent in his mind.
8.
Yes, but this is a different game, different day, and that's how all snooker players see themselves. Forget about the last one, concentrate on this one. And Mark Selby's come down the table to have a look at the black to see if it goes.
13.
Just needs to keep the white ball under control, and there shouldn't be a problem.
Fourteen.
And again, cleverly played
19.
for 2 or 3 reds.
$20.
Now we'll see if the black does go.
25.
Just coming to have another look. It's just where he's left the white ball, it's taken him slightly towards the left-hand cushion. Would have liked this red a little bit more straighter to come towards the black. Now you can see it just travelling over slightly towards the left cushion. And came down to have a look to see where he wanted to be to play the cannon next to the red, which would then free the black into both pockets. As you can see, the red doesn't go. And he's played that well, although these are never gimmies on these tables.
33.
Good shot. And there's no reason now why he shouldn't go on to win the frame at this visit.
$41. $42.
Just 4 years ago, Joe, you might recall, the Snooker Writers Association elected Mark Selby their Young Player of the Year. He was just 19 at the time, and he'd already had a semi-final appearance as Matthew waits for an opportunity. A semi-final
49.
appearance in the China Open the year before, aged 18.
Yes, certainly a player for the future, Mike, without a shadow of a doubt. But I've noticed on occasions, watching Mark, that while he's down on the shot, he tends to move a little bit while he's queuing up. His head, his body, trying to find the exact line of the shot while he's down on the shot. And that could prove to be a fault sometime in the future. Because as you know, no part of the body should be moving except the right arm, if you're right-handed of course. Left arm if you're left-handed. Now in the case of Ronnie O'Sullivan, no-handed.
Yes, Ronnie seems to switch seamlessly from left to right and right to left, doesn't he? Actually, we've seen Matthew play a few left-handed shots in recent years.
Very good player left-handed.
I think Matthew's probably practiced that because of his aversion to the rest.
Yes, might have made more sense to practice with the rest, eh?
A good point, Joe, a good point.
I'm sure he has done, Mike. And there you see Mark Selby again. You know, he's trying to get perfect position
57.
into a shot that was very difficult to do. He was trying to get onto the red just below the pink, the one that he's playing now. Not sure if the angle was there to do that. But he's on it.
58.
Oh, that was very nicely done, wasn't it? Pushing the pink over the middle pocket.
Yes, played to perfection. Just coming to have a look to see if the two reds are available, which they are. He may be able to pinch a bit on the pocket to get closer to the reds.
Oh, he got a bit too much into that.
He did. And it's a good job there's a red over the corner pocket,
64.
which may help to keep the break going.
Well, more to the point, Joe, the next red is frame ball.
Yes. So even more fortunate than Mike to have this red, because certainly didn't play for it.
65.
Good pot. And the crowd applauding because it's game ball. And there you see the pink again. Just got too much into the white ball. Too much reaction.
Mark Selby, 65, and the frame.
A very good opening 65, and Matthew Stevens not coming to the table to go for snookers, deciding that he's had enough of that one. So first blood to the 23-year-old from Leicester. Some way to go, obviously. Best of 9, remember, first of 5 going through. But as we head for a short commercial break, it's Mark Selby drawing first blood, and now leading Matthew Stevens 1-0. Welcome back to the Welsh Open snooker. Coming to you from the Newport Centre. Frame 2 just underway.
1.
And Matthew Stevens, just before you came back, Mr. Red, enabling Mark Selby, the younger of the two by 6 years, to get straight back in and continue from where he left off in the opening frame. Joe, I was just saying to you during our commercial break, I was a little surprised that Matthew did not come back to the table after Mark's 65 break
8.
ended. First frame, first time out in the arena today. Shouldn't he have continued maybe just to get a feel of the table a little and maybe go for the 2 snookers he required?
Yes, well, it's all choice, Mike, but, you know, personally myself, I would have used the time
9.
to maybe play a few more shots, see if I could get my cue arm going. And judging by the red that he's just missed to leave Mark back in again, maybe you should have done. But some players just like to get back on with the game, and here you see he's missed it by quite a long way. Unlucky to knock the green in, but did miss the pot by a long distance.
Matthew very much needing the ranking points. His official ranking is down to 14, but it gets worse because on the provisional list he's down to 21.
And there you can see Mark moving about on the shot there. I don't know if you saw that, Mike,
17.
but it was just trying to find the angle going from side to side, and that can prove to be a massive fault when it comes down to the pressure shots. And indeed, finals.
Yes, I seem to recall commenting on this little habit that Mark's got before.
24.
As we see a replay of the black. Yes, he's had this for 2 or 3 years. I'm not sure whether he had it when he first turned professional, but certainly it has been noticed before, and it's something which a good coach should really be ironing out of him.
$25.
I mean, it's okay when things are going for you, when everything's going according to plan. You don't feel the pressure when everything's going the right way, but the minute you become under pressure, that's when you need all the disciplines of your action, your stance, your bridge. They all need to gel together, and movement is probably the worst fault you can have. Now just watch this as he gets down onto the shot. Look, you can see him moving about, just trying to find the perfect line of the shot. Yes, if I was his coach, then a short whip across the back every time he moved would cure it.
Not sure you thank you too much for that, Joe, but I know what you mean. You're a hard man, Mr. Johnson.
That's probably why I don't get many people to coach. Having said that, he's just played a very good blue into the corner pocket. Could have done with coming over another 2 or 3 inches to be straighter on this red, but shouldn't be a problem. Can screw directly across for the black into the same pocket, or stun behind the black. The same thing.
37.
Nicely played.
Well, this is almost a carbon copy of the first frame, Joe. And if so, then Matthew, sitting in his chair, must already be conscious that there could be, early in this match, a bit of a crisis developing.
Yes, and what makes it more difficult for Matthew, of course, is that Mark Selby
44.
is scoring heavily, which you would expect from a top player, and I rate him as a top player.
Well, he's seen off one Welshman yesterday in the round of the last 48. Here he is playing for a place in the last 16 against another Welshman.
There you can see his cue action. A slight pause before he delivered the cue.
50.
A second consecutive half century then.
Yes, thrown the gauntlet down.
51.
And got the perfect angle just to go into the reds. Needs to miss the pink now and just hit the two reds to the right of the pink, and that will open them. Doesn't need to hit the mad, just nice and steady. And that's perfect. That's perfect.
Oh, that really is nice. And has that red stopped short to allow the black into both corner pockets? Just watch the red here that hits this top cushion. Now, has it stopped enough for the black to go into both pockets? It might just have done.
Well, it's okay. Yes, there you can see.
57.
Even if the black didn't go, it was quite easy to go back up for the blue. So this is a great start from Mark Selby.
Yes, and he's currently enjoying his highest position ever in the rankings, at, provisionally at number 24, coming here to Newport this week. That's his highest ever position since turning pro.
Yes, he's going to go from strength to strength, this boy, without a shadow of a doubt, but does need to get that movement under control. As I said earlier, Mike,
64.
it comes into play when you bang under the pressure.
Ooh.
Mark Selby, 64.
Well, 1 point fewer than he made in that break in the first frame that caused Matthew to stay in his chair. But this time Matthew comes out as we look at this black again, and he went across nicely for the red, and well, I had him down for the red, but it wasn't to be.
Yes, he on the previous shot on the black, he played for the two reds and by the side cushion. Didn't go far enough and played the red that he finished up playing behind the black. Had he wanted to play that first, he would just roll the black in. But missed game ball nevertheless.
This is where, looking back to the end of the first frame, I feel that Matthew could have used the time a little more wisely to get some table time in.
Yes, I think you're right there, Mike. Would have been easier, because again, this is a pressure ball.
And there you see, and I'm sure that's just down to lack of table time.
Yes, I agree. And had he had that table time, that may have been a bit easier, the shot. And that was a good chance from Matthew. The balls were nicely placed. Even though he came to the table 68 behind.
Oh, that's a clever little shot.
Yes, mustn't leave one here. Otherwise, end of game. Just tried to land up to these reds. Dead weight. Looks a bit strong. That's okay. Yes, very cleverly tried to put the red on the side cushion, but caught the black and has left a chance at this red, albeit it's not easy, but it's a chance.
Yes, well, that didn't, for me, have much conviction, and in fact Matthew has declared to referee Michaela Tabb that he's had enough of that one as well, so things not going at all well for the Welshman. The man from Leicester, on the other hand, looking by far the more convincing as he takes the second frame and now leads Matthew Stevens by 2 frames to 0. Matthew Stevens playing in his native country of Wales against the man from Leicester, Mark Selby, and conceding the first 2 frames following good contributions from Mark Selby of 65 in the first and 64 in the second. It's not been a good start to the day at the office for Matthew Stevens, who really does need ranking points, otherwise he could be staring into the abyss of a drop out of the top 16 in the world. He's been there for a number of years, he's won the UK, he's won the Masters, he's twice been to the final of the World Championships, but he's had a torrid time of it, Matthew, this last year or so. Last season particularly, 5 times out of 8 major events including the Masters he lost his opening match, and that is not really the mark of a man in the top 16. This young man, Mark Selby, on the other hand, is on the up to number 24 in the rankings, leading Matthew, and well, what was that? The white almost finished up in the corner pocket, and well, I just can't believe he made a break-off shot like that.
Well, it was an accident, pure and simple, but what a bad accident. He doesn't look in the game here, Mike. He looks out of it completely, and could be feeling the pressure because he's playing in Wales and he's got a lot of fans here. And here you can see it again, just caught the second red instead of the end red. Bust the pack wide open, and he's been very, very fortunate not to have left a pot. And that's a good safety shot. And that's put him quite a bit of trouble there. Can't see the right hand side of the reds.
And at this point, Joe, we welcome viewers on British Eurosport who joined those already watching on Eurosport International with the news that in this match here this afternoon on the main table, Matthew Stevens, the local hope of course from Wales, is 2-0 down to the 23-year-old from Leicester, Mark Selby. Mark having had 2 contributions of note, 65 in the first and 64 in the second, to give him this current lead in this best of 9 match for a place in the last 16.
Yeah, Matthew has had his chances. Had one in the last frame when Mark Selby missed game ball, left him right in with the last 6 reds on the table. Couldn't fail to capitalise on that. Just made 8. And we think, Mike and I think that he's out of sorts, but really does need to get his act together and get it together quickly, because this young man, Mark Selby, now then, will that just drift in slightly? Has it got the legs?
Matthew Stevens 1.
It didn't have the legs, and I don't think it had the direction either. And Matthew seems to have lost his direction terribly here.
He does. And there you see it. It may just have gone had it had the legs.
One.
And that's all in the past. And the future's at the table.
Yes, an interesting phrase you used there, Joe. The future's at the table. And the future could be the Mark Selby's of this world.
8.
The new order, perhaps. Although Matthew is hardly an oldster, he's still only 29. But the
9.
Welshman has had a torrid time since he got to the World Championship final for the second time in 2005. Sean Murphy beat him, you will recall, I'm sure, 18-16 in that memorable final. And it's just gone completely wrong for Matthew since.
Yes, we can talk about Mike B's forever. Mike, I firmly believe, had he beaten
16.
Sean Murphy or his other Welsh partner,
17.
Mark Williams, this man would have been a different, well, not this man, but Matthew Stevens would have been a different player completely. Winning the World Championship would have brought the confidence and turned him into a different player. But we can say the same thing about lots of players. Jimmy White in particular never won the World Championship.
24.
And a better player I've never seen. But he's still a great player, Matthew Stevens, and I'm sure at some stage there's lots of snooker left in him. Meanwhile, Mark Selby's in the scoring groove.
22.
Again, can he just stun through those two reds? Come up for the pink. Now does he have the angle to go for the black?
The winner of this match could find himself up against Ronnie O'Sullivan in the last 16, although Ronnie, that's a little bit down the line yet. Ronnie still doesn't know whether he will be playing either Ian McCulloch or Mark Allen, the young Irishman, former world amateur champion, turned pro at the start of last season.
33.
So a little bit of a way to go before they'll know who they're playing. Ian McCulloch and Mark Allen due on table later on this afternoon. Still 4 matches from the last 48, that's one of them, to be completed. In fact, the last one is this evening, Ding Junhui versus Jamie Cope. That's an interesting match, isn't it? Young Ding against Jamie, who got to the final of the Grand Prix.
41.
We might be able to see some of that, show you some of that one in our broadcast later this evening.
Again, played that very well. Played the cannon. And there you can see the movement. You can also see the determination, Mike.
Yes, the determination is there, but although I'm not a qualified coach, I would really love to take Mark to one side and work on him myself on his addressing of the cue ball. But it seems to work. Here he is, producing good contributions, Joe.
Yes, you can't ask for more than winning the frame at one visit. And that's what he's done the last 2 frames.
55.
Another 50 break plus. Still going.
56.
Well, carbon copy again, Joe. All 3 frames following a similar pattern. A mistake from the Welshman, and in steps the man from Leicester.
Yes, and the way the Reds are, Mike, you would expect him to win the frame at this visit. So great start from Mark Selby.
$64.
Well, he's already had a 65 and a 64 in the previous 2 frames. This should make it the biggest contribution so far. What is Matthew going to do about this? Well, of course, first he's got to get back to the table.
Yes, it doesn't look well, Mike.
70.
Mark Selby won't be showing any sympathy, that's for sure.
No, he certainly won't.
77.
There's no room for compassion in this game. In fact, I remember Paul Hunter
78.
saying exactly that to Michael Holt before they met in the World Championship 2 years ago, when Paul had told the world that he was suffering from cancer, and they were good mates. He said to Mike, "You go out, if you beat me, you beat me." And of course Michael Holt did beat him, and there was a big hug between them at the end.
85.
No room for compassion in any professional sport. And this is going to be 3-0.
6.
And you have to hand it to Mark Selby, Joe. His contributions have been very good.
Very punishing. And that's what all snooker players aim to achieve. Punish your opponent.
Oh, look at that for a nudge.
Yes, and played it very well, because he knew he was going to be on the red closest to the cushion if he didn't knock the other red into a potable position. So should this go in, and it has, it will be his first century of the match. Well played.
Well played indeed. Mark doesn't get too many centuries. That's only the 35th of his professional career, although it has to be said that 10 of them have come this season, so clearly he has improved matters.
101.
This is the 9th of the week. We had 8 altogether yesterday here at Newport.
$106. 108.
Well, 133 possible. He would go to the top of the century break list at the moment. Michael Holt, who I mentioned just a moment ago,
111.
is at the top with a 131. In fact, Michael Holt had 3 centuries in his 5-4 win against Ricky Walden yesterday.
Unbelievable.
115.
Great snooker. And this is a good break. Never been in trouble.
120.
I'm not sure whether a 133 will ultimately win the high break prize of £2,000. We so frequently see somebody getting into the 140s these days. But it's a good target to aim for if this black goes in.
Yes, I agree. It's got to be beaten.
There you go. A very, very good clearance of 133 by Mark Selby, following breaks of 65 and 64. It's been almost flawless from the man from Leicester, as he is really demolishing Matthew Stevens at the moment. We'll take a break with Mark Selby leading Matthew Stevens 3 frames to 0. Welcome back to the Newport Centre as we continue this week's coverage of snooker's Welsh Open, the fifth of our 7 ranking events of the season. After this, we've just got the China Open next month, and of course the World Championship, the big one itself, in April from the Crucible in Sheffield as usual. Look at the scoreline. Mark Selby leading Matthew Stevens by 3 frames to 0, and Matthew in all kinds of trouble here.
And this is a replica of the shot in the second frame. Did get nearer that time, but not sure if it was the shot.
Oh, very little has gone right for Matthew in this match so far, and Mark has been pretty well flawless. A 65, a 64 and a 133. And just look at that, long pot success, he ain't missed one yet.
One.
Another good pot. And not a good rub. Had it missed, would have had an easy blow into the top left corner. As it is, it's finished up hampered on the red. So, considering the green, and this is a difficult blow.
Yeah, it's a very difficult blue, but he's on a roll, so I'm pretty sure he'll take it on.
Looking at the yellow now, Mike.
Yes, he is too.
If he was to play the blue, it looks like he would need the spider.
Looks to me as though he's decided to go for yellow instead. Oh well, plan A, plan B, doesn't seem to make much difference.
Yes, good pot, and again, unlucky with the kiss.
3.
Had it missed the blue, would have had a nice easy red into the middle. And this is a difficult shot now, because not sure if you can hold for the black. If not, then may be able to hold for the pink if it goes into the middle. Just looking now, you can see what's in his mind. Well, the black doesn't go by the look of it. You can see what's in his mind. He's attempting to play the red into the left corner, bounce off the black cushion and cannon the red to the right of the black. It's got one part of the shot and nearly got the second part. Just caught the black first. Wanted to catch the red full ball. Good attempt. Just a safety shot now. Have a look at this again. Just caught the black, look. Had it missed the black, would have been perfect on it.
Mark Selby, 4.
Just had to play a slight swerve to make contact with the green there. Very well judged. Safety shot. A quick word about the match on table 2, which I referred to at the start of the programme. Stephen Maguire versus Alan McManus, an all Glaswegian match, that one. These two know each other very well. Well, Stephen took the first one, and I'm told he's just about to make it 2 frames to 0 over the former top 16 player Alan McManus, as Matthew Stevens ponders things here on table 1.
Yes, Matthew just opened the pack with his last safety shot. And I wasn't so sure whether it had worked for him, but Mark Selby's just played an horrendous safety shot.
Well, that's the first unforced error, I think, that we've seen from Mark in this match.
Yes, and you would feel now, Mike, that Matthew Stevens really does have to punish Mark Selby.
I don't think he's got an option. If he goes into the mid-session interval at 4-0 down, Joe, I would suggest there's no way back from that scoreline in a best of 9.
Well, the only thing we could say there, Mike, it's happened before. Being 4-0 down, winning 5-4, but I would agree with you. It would seem very difficult for Matthew.
He has to make the most of this opportunity. Just look at the Reds, an ideal opportunity, but has he had enough table time to get the fluency?
This is a very difficult black that it's attempting. It's there. Good shot. Now if you can just drop this red in, dead weight. Dead weight.
50.
Good shot. Now this is turning into a good opportunity. It seems very casual around the table, Mike.
Yes, I thought so too just
23.
there. He needs to keep his concentration levels high here. One mistake, and with the Reds the way they are, he could yet lose this frame and go in 4-0 down.
But that's the way that he plays snooker. It
30.
appears very casual. And look at the points that's been scored there. 270 points to Mark Selby, 48 points to Matthew Stevens. And he hasn't left this particularly good. Good shot. Wasn't easy.
38. 39.
Underhit that one. And play the cannon to the two Reds by the pink spot. That's spot, not splot. And there you see the
46.
hampered black. Played it very well, but only just.
47.
And completely under it, that one. And underhit that one as well.
52.
Can just reach it.
53.
Oof. Doesn't want to touch the red on the left side cushion. Just got a quick glimpse there of Matthew's grip. Holds this cue right at the very end, with his fingers just holding the butt of the cue.
59.
And again, hasn't played it well. It's getting to the point of no return. 55 in front.
Yeah, and this is frame ball too.
And a good shot.
Well, that is an excellent black, Joe, and he really needed that one, you felt.
Yes, without a doubt, and let's give him some kind of a life.
No applause from the audience either. Most snooker audiences these days recognise the frame ball in a match.
Yes, probably played it so quick they haven't realised.
74.
Well, this is something of a minor
75.
triumph for Matthew after he sat out most of the first three frames.
And a possible century break. If you can leave the angle on this red to bring the other red off the cushion. Could have done with coming just a touch further. Ah, well. Good effort.
Stevens 82.
82 in the frame. Well, he will get some consolation out of that 82 because he needed it, he's got it, and he goes into the mid-session interval with some small hope of salvaging this match yet after being blitzed by Mark Selby in the first three frames. So good breaks in all four frames, but at the mid-session interval, it's Mark Selby leading Matthew Stevens 3 frames to 1.